What's going on, everyone? So the Charlotte Hornets might ultimately be the best trade destination for the Lakers because they have essentially everything the Lakers need. They are really bad, right? To start the season, they actually look like, oh, maybe something's changing here. And then they have been awful, right? Like they've been not even a play-in team. They're a bad team. They're tanking for the bottom again, and you have some nice pieces there in Charlotte, like their foundation with, Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, although there's been a lot of buzz. Part of that is just their head coach essentially benching him in the fourth quarter of a tight game for Tre Mann. Like that isn't good for, image purposes and image sakes. But if I'm the Lakers, there's two guys in particular that I am heavily going after. And that is Nick Richards, who a lot of people want. Here's a question about Nick Richards. Is he actually available? That's the problem, right? Two things. One, Mark Williams, who Charlotte actually prefers and usually starts over Nick Richards, and he's younger, but he can't stay healthy. He's been dealing with injury issues. So they might not even be able to trade Nick Richards. Secondly, again, is Nick Richards even available, right? Tons of teams have inquired about Nick Richards, but no one's actually been able to get him, and there's no word that he's even really available. Charlotte's just listening, which, if you're Charlotte, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do your due diligence and listen. However, the second guy that I would be targeting heavily is Miles Bridges. Can you go get Miles Bridges? Miles Bridges would be perfect. You're talking about a 6'8", versatile, physical, two-way wing that can go get you 18 plus. I mean, he'd be immediately our third best player, right? And he is just getting into a 3-year, although decreases each year. He's making $27.1 million this season, $25 million next, 22, we'll call it $23 million the year after that. He's 26 years old. Charlotte is, again, tanking for the bottom. They're terrible. They have several other guys that are younger that they're trying to grow and develop. So Bridges is kind of the odd man out. I would also give up your picks for Bridges. He's that good, right? Defensively, offensively, versatility-wise, the size strength. But you'd have to get Nick Richards in the deal. If the Lakers if you told me Lakers gave up both firsts to get Nick Richards and Miles Bridges, I would be okay with that. I would try to get a Tre Mann too if possible, but I don't know if they would actually trade him. He's been really good for them. Maybe you could get a Cody Martin, right? So best case scenario, let's say. Obviously I'd love to only give up one first, but I just think realistically, look at guys like OG and stuff went for, right? Miles Bridges is probably the best idea of a 3-and-D win that we could potentially get, right? So a guy in Miles Bridges, you get him. Let's say you gave up both first, right? Unprotected. I don't really care at that point. Again, he's 26 years old, and a guy that is a 20-8 guy, right? As a 3 or a 4, you play him at either forward spot, and so I really like the idea of him. It fits the Lakers kind of idea of getting pieces that can play beyond LeBron James. Miles Bridges is a guy that can play a lot longer than LeBron James, right? And could be a real foundation piece for you alongside Anthony Davis. Go get that other star and let's go. And like I said, his contract declines each year, so it gives you flexibility going forward. But if you could get, say, Cody Martin, 6'6", versatile wing, bench guy, role guy. He's not a guy that's going to be a huge impact guy, but he's a guy that could be in the rotation, give you, 8 points a game off the bench, defend 1 through 4, perfect. Can play 2 through 4, right? Perfect. Miles Bridges, again, another 6'8", 6'9", versatile, physical wing that can play the 3 or the 4, right? Perfect. And then go get a Nick Richards. I don't give up whatever you have to give up at that point, right? Because at that point, I think the Lakers now have more than enough to win a championship and for potentially multiple seasons. Literally, you'd have Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, Miles Bridges, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That is big. Your smallest guy is Austin Reeves, and he's 6'5", right? Your second smallest would be Dorian Finney-Smith, and he's 6'7", right? 6'7", 6'8". So you'd be big, you'd be switchable, you'd be versatile. And then even when LeBron rides off into the sunset, you could just move Dorian to the 3 or the 4 either way, and then Miles Bridges to the 3 or the 4 either way, and just go insert, maybe go get at that point, go bring in Tre, because you have the defensive wings to slot in, and you go Tre, Reeves, Dorian, Bridges, and Anthony Davis, and still probably go compete and contend for multiple championships, right? Like, I look at that, and I'm just like, man, like, Charlotte might genuinely be the answer. I mean, like I said, they have several other, like, kind of just smaller pieces and stuff. But the way I look at it is, like, Miles Bridges gets you that, like, all-star caliber guy who immediately would be your third best player. Like I said, because he's a guy that can do everything on the basketball court. And then he's young enough to be, like, he's the same age as Reeves. So, like, he's young enough to be a foundation piece going forward. And then you bring in a Cody Martin, which gives you another just versatile two-way wing off the bench, right? And then bring in, again, ideally a Tre Mann would be nice, something like that. But, again, I'm trying to keep it somewhat realistic. And then if you can bring in a Nick Richards, you got your backup center, who he too is young. He's 26 also, I believe, right? So you got young backup center. You got your versatile two-way wing that can play either forward spot. You go big, you go small, you go in between. You could go with, especially because LeBron and his ability to play make, you could even like get really creative with lineups, right? Like you could go like LeBron, Dorian Finney-Smith, Miles Bridges, Anthony Davis, and Nick Richards. You imagine that 5 out? I mean, your smallest guy would be Dorian Finney-Smith, who's like 6'7", 6'8". Like, big, physical, right? Like, again, Miles Bridges can shoot the 3 ball. Anthony Davis, he can be kind of hot and cold. LeBron can kind of be hot and cold, right? But Dorian Finney-Smith, 43% from three-point range this season. I know he missed his first 2 threes with the Lakers. Like, he'll be fine, right? Like, and then, Nick Richards not really a floor stretcher, but still, like, I mean, there's just the lineup of versatility is very, very versatile in that regard. But diving into Miles Bridges, for those that are like, well, what does Miles Bridges give you? Okay, well, so far this season, 19 games, 30.6 minutes, which is actually down from last season. He's played 37.4 minutes because, again, they have several guys that they're trying to develop, which is why I think it may be realistic. But you'd have to give them, like, the reason I say you'd have to give up both first is because that's the only way you're going to get Miles Bridges. And I believe he's worth it. I really do, like, genuinely. Because, like, he is everything the Lakers need and then some. Like, Dorian Finney-Smith was a huge acquisition, and I think he's going to be, like, massive. Miles Bridges would blow that acquisition out of the water. But I digress, right? 30.6 minutes. He's averaging 15.4 attempts per game, which is down from 17.5. He's shooting 42.1% from the floor this season. 3-point attempts, 6.8 attempts, which he's shooting 27.7% from three-point range, which is not good. However, he is a career 36% three-point shooter. Before he got into his trouble and stuff, he was actually at 40% for a season. But two-point range, he's shooting 53.7% on 8.5 attempts. He has an EFG of 48.3%. He's having a down year this season. But, again, Charlotte's just terrible. I think he'd be much better with the Lakers. He's shooting 90% from the foul line on 3.5 attempts. He's averaging 7.7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, a block, and 18 points per game. Like, it's everything the Lakers need, literally. A guy that go get you 20 plus on any given night, right? Like, I mean, he's the versatile, sizable forward that the Lakers like desperately need that could be here for now in the future. But like, let's look at last season, right? 37 minutes per game, 17.5 points, 46.2% from the floor, right? Shot 35% from 3 on 6.5 attempts. 11 attempts from 2-point range, shot 53%. Had an EFG of 52.7%, shot 82.5% from the foul line on 3.1 attempts, averaged 7.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, a steal, a block, and 21 points per game. Again, he's having a slightly down year, and he's still giving you 18 a night, right, on 15 attempts, right? So, again, if he could be even that, even if he's 15, 7, and this year he's played more power forward because, again, they have guys that they're trying to develop. But the year that he scored 21 last season, he played small forward, right? And I think he had like a 50-piece or a 45-piece, something like that. He scored like 45, something like that. Point is, he's that versatile, sizable wing. You also add in like a Nick Richards. That might be the best trade. Get a Cody Martin, right? I really like the idea of Cody Martin, not as like this like big needle mover or anything, but again, it's just another sizable, versatile forward, right? A guy that could slot in 2 through 4, right? 6'6", 6'7" size. Right? He's not like lights out from 3 or anything, but again, just another physical guy that can defend multiple positions, which the Lakers really need. So that way, when some of these wings go to the bench, you can insert other ones, right? And he's still only 28 years old. So again, you have, they're there, they fit the Lakers timeline. I think there's a genuine argument Hornets may be one of the better options, period. And I think the Lakers should look at that. I think, honestly, I don't know. I think, obviously, are any of these guys actually available? Like I mentioned with Nick Richards, right? Like, there's word that teams have talked and acquired about him, but it's not the same thing as teams actually being able to trade for him and him actually being available. It's very different, right? So, if you're the Lakers, you have to entice them to like, hey, like, you want to work with us? So I just think if you can get Nick Richards, Cody Martin, and Miles Bridges, I would try to talk them into Tre Mann too, if you can. I think you do whatever it takes. Give up whatever you have to give up. Also, just so Bridges, Cody Martin, and Bridges, Cody Martin, and Nick Richards is only it's like $40 million in salary. So you could get those 3 guys and then still get Tre Mann, and it's like the equivalent of like a Zach LaVine, which I am a big Zach LaVine guy, but I would honestly rather have that than Zach LaVine because you'd be deep, talented, versatile, switchable, kind of upgrade the back end depth. But as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How you feel? What are your thoughts? Agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, or whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.